Hi, this is Maheen, and today I'm super excited to launch my global fashion pages. And I couldn't have thought of a better person than Mohsin Sayeed. He is a journalist, an activist, a big television personality out of Pakistan, and he is known for being someone who expresses freedom of press to the fullest degree. And some people in Pakistan may not be too happy about it. He's also a fashion designer of PinkTree, and what I love about the PinkTree Company brand is that it's just not a pop of color, but it's fashion with a purpose. I had a chance to go to his studio a couple of times, and as his exclusive clientele, it's just not like a business transaction, but rather you sit there and have intellectual conversations and educated conversations as global citizens and engaged citizens. Some of the clientele includes Bina Sarwar, who's a top journalist out of Pakistan, and Afia Salam. So they're political thinkers, they're smart women, and that's what I love about it. And so I also have my new team today. So I have Austin Colwell, who'll be covering music and fashion, and of course, our very own Tessa Hoyos, who covers fashion, business, and wellness. So Mohsin, let me start a question here, right? So what's trending these days?
Hello, good evening, and Adab. Thank you, Maheen, for having me over. And it's an honor that this is the first and you're starting your fashion pages with us, the PinkTree Company. It's an honor. And hello, Tessa, and hello, Austin. You asked me about trend. Well, Osama bin Laden is a martyr that's trending on Twitter these days, and the some Imran Khan is trending, and other Corona is trending.
Love it. Interesting answers there. Is the fashion business catty, Mohsin?
It's as catty as any other business, like academia or publishing or writing or art or banking, or in fact, banking I find more cattier, or any other corporate. It's as catty or not catty.
Fair enough. Any parallels you can draw between Prime Minister Imran Khan from Pakistan and American President Trump?
Oh my God. No, I can't. They're uniquely moronic, so you can't draw. They have their own features and you can't draw parallels between the two. They're really unique. They belong to the Museum of uh, Human History.
All right, interesting response there. How are the LGBTQ communities, let me repeat that. How are the LGBTQ communities treated in Pakistan and the minorities, Hindus and Christians?
Well, I hate the word minority because that gives you a sense of otherness. They're some other people. So I don't like to use the word minority, but if you mean minority by people who followers of other religions than Islam, or there are many other religions found in our region, and especially some started from our region. Okay, and then there are people who are independent thinkers and critical thinkers, and who speak loudly and who don't want to be silent. And LGBTQ community is also there. Yes, for LGBT community, they have this advantage, especially gays, lesbians, and bisexuals, that uh, don't tell, don't announce. They can live their life easily, and that's not a problem. But if, of course, if you announce, then there's a problem. And don't get on to the rooftops and scream. That's the policy. And when we talk about transgender community, yes, they're in trouble. They're discriminated against, of course, because they are like Hazaras or like African Americans, or they're obvious. They're there. You can tell them by
Yeah.
their demeanor, or by their look. So yes, they're discriminated against. But I would say that Pakistan has made some progress in the sense that the state now recognizes them as the third gender, and Supreme Court has allowed them all rights, equal rights. So now they can have IDs and passports, and they can perform Hajj, and they're being inducted in different fields However, very proudly, I'd say that fashion is a non-discriminatory and completely, I would say, on this, at least in this area, non-discriminatory totally and not bigoted at all because we work with
You're
all
totally right,
sorts of
Mohsin.
people and
I think that
employ transgenders as well. Yeah.
I agree. And so I think there's a fascinating case study that can be made. And I'm like kind of orienting both Austin and Tessa with this, that you do see the LGBTQ community treated with respect and they're thriving if you look at showbiz, entertainment, fashion in Pakistan. But then when you go to the streets, you also hear about the murders and brutal murders that are taking place both in Pakistan and India. And so that's kind of fascinating for me a little. All right.
But
So,
aren't you, I'd like to say that we are a, region of paradoxes. We are bipolar, we are totally schizophrenic. We cannot be comprehended. We are not, we are a very complex region,
yeah,
people. No straight rule. Well, straight, not pun unintended. I'd say nothing straight can be applicable or applied to us.
absolutely.
We
I agree
have
with you.
to understand because there are layers upon layers upon layers of history, and owing to various invasions in we have our indigenous culture and history, which goes back to 5,000 years ago, and then there were invasions, so all sorts of influences. So now we are a very vibrant yet very extremely complex society.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I agree with you.
it takes years and decades to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mohsin, I wanted to ask you, do you think that women have to be desexualized to be taken seriously if they're in the news media?
Well, Maheen, I haven't seen that in my. I don't know about today's journalists, but I'd say that my contemporaries and my seniors like Sherry Rahman and Talat Naqvi and Najwa Sadek, they just they were themselves. They didn't pretend to be someone else. They didn't adopt some qualities or because of influences. Didn't change themselves. They
Yeah,
were themselves. Talat Naqvi used to wear sleevelesses and very fine cottons and see-through clothes. And Sherry Rahman, I've never seen Sherry without a bright lipstick and beautiful earrings, and she's always been decked up, not just in journalism, in parliament as well. And Najwa Sadik was this grand old lady, and who was I never saw with dupatta. I'm talking about.
dupatta is a piece of cloth that people wear with shalwar kameez, that outfits that I've been showing you, just as something like to hide your body.
I never saw any of my colleagues or my seniors desexualizing or sexualizing themselves. They were themselves. And journalism is not for the lily-livered, for the weak-spined, for the weak-hearted. In any case, I don't know about today's journalists, but I've always seen very strong, very bold women.
I agree with you,
One of my
Mohsin. And
colleagues, Sherbano, was always covered her head and everything, but she's a very strong woman.
yeah, I
As
describe journalism for women as they have to be fearless, shameless, and just tenacious. That's
and
just,
I have always seen my colleagues and my seniors like that. I don't know about today's journalists, and they talk about women in journalism. Women were in journalism before you were born, before perhaps your mothers were born. So what are you talking about? They have no concept of
yeah.
history.
And so one interesting thing, Mohsin, I've noticed that when I went to all the big newsrooms that I was a part of like a decade ago, Dawn News TV, Geo, etc., they're all men. When I was working as a journalist, they were 50% women, 50% men. What has changed in this decade?
Ask those girls, ask those men, because when I was working, well, perhaps you are in minority. I'm just joking. But yes, you're right. There were so many vibrant women. I remember my friend Zulaikha Ali. She loved environment, and she did such beautiful, brilliant environment stories. And for them, she would go venture out to all those, industrial areas and those far-flung areas alone. So, and exactly newsrooms, late night shifts. I saw my friends who are working in those shifts. So I
Right.
don't know what has happened today.
Yeah. So, Mohsin, let's talk about London Fashion Week and PinkTree being in London Fashion Week. Both my colleagues here have been absolutely blown away by the collection. And I'll let them talk first, then I'll come to you. Tessa, how about you talk about the collection that you saw?
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I loved the modern and bold, fierce takes on traditional Pakistani fashion. Particularly, I loved the persimmon two-piece that you put out there. I thought it was very pretty, and I thought that all of the models had clothes on that really complemented their skin and who they were.
Nice. Austin, can you go?
I was blown away. Honestly, when I first saw it, like the jewel tones were just like the best shock that I could have had, because in America we have a bunch of these drab earth toned neutral things all the time, and that was just so like candy colored and like joyful, and it seemed like everybody that was on the runway was having an excellent time just wearing the clothes. So I commend you for that.
Mohsin?
Thank you so much. Lovely to hear this. London Fashion Week. It was a dream. It was a part of a project of British Council and London Fashion Week, Fashion Scout. And basically, British Council had a project to encourage and to promote creative economies. So fashion was one part of it. Art, fashion, interiors, and one more I'm forgetting. And so fashion was one, and they went to all these countries because they're also looking for new ideas. They went to Indonesia earlier, and so they they came to Pakistan, and we were the second batch. A year ago, a year before, there were some designers who were selected and went. So basically, it was a mentoring project, and it was to introduce us how business of fashion works. And there were mentors, and they mentored us for 8 months, where we were taught about marketing, supply line, fair trade, and ethical fashion and design.
Amazing.
And this collection was, we were supposed to make a collection according to what we were learning. We were being mentored. And we did this. Everybody told us go mute or go ivory or black or dark colors. We said no. This is us. We look at our region. We are a very vibrant people. We have a very vibrant culture, colors and embellishment. It's a part of our lives, daily lives. So
Yeah.
we decided to go very colorful against all advice
I
and
love
use
that.
And Nazia Hassan's music, because Nazia is very dear to us, not just music wise. She brings a lot of socio-political depth to our music, because she's from the era of Ziaul Haq, and she was a breath of fresh air. Nazia was 4, 5, 6 years older than I was at that time, but same age bracket. So when you see someone of your age bracket doing something, so you get energized and you get hope. So that was Nazia for us. So
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
lovely. And I invited Nazia's brother Zaib Hassan, who's also a singer, and Gina Hassan, who's a very dear friend of mine. And when Nazia started playing, and they were surprised. I was watching them from the backstage. They had a lot of fun, and the collection was basically Pakistan, because Pakistan is seen, uh, for us, Pakistan is a paradise in trouble. You know, it has so many beautiful things, colorful, great people, and yet, you know, you get what you get to read. I'm not denying that. We are suffering from that too. But there's another side of Pakistan too, which no one looks at.
Yeah.
And it is shown through our music, our art, our fashion, and writing, literature, which is coming out of Pakistan these days. So Pakistan is a paradise in fact.
Yeah. So I'd like to talk to you, Mohsin, about PinkTree getting launched in America. It was pretty cool to see some of the exhibitions taking place in California sometime last year. So what are the plans to have more exhibitions as well? West Coast? When are you coming to Seattle?
When we last year, it was really good and it gave us a lot of hope, and we were over the moon. And but this year, because it was in San Francisco, and we were received really well, thunderous response that we didn't believe it. It was a dream. Like after our first exhibition in Dubai, we had that kind of response. Within 2-3 hours, we were cleaned up, and we had to cancel our another exhibition in another area because we didn't have any inventory left.
Right.
So it gave us a lot of hope. For this year, we had planned 12 exhibitions, and but COVID happened.
Right. So we just wrap
So
it up here, Mohsin. I'll have my team ask a couple of questions based on all this information. I'm sure some of this is overwhelming. They're getting a crash course on Pakistan fashion. So Austin, I'll have you go first, based on all that you
yeah,
know about Mohsin and his brand and all that fun stuff.
Hmm. Well, what do you think your biggest goal with PinkTree is in regards to bringing fashion to Pakistan, like your specific brand?
with our goal is to sustain and remain afloat during COVID. But generally, if you look at well, our goal is to be able to influence our customers, people, that fashion is a totally different thing. We don't sell clothes. We sell a dream, a lifestyle, and secondly, if if we are able to influence our customer to be uh, conscientious, and value craft and value the craft people, because craft is a big part of our collection. Hand woven clothes, hand embroidery, block prints, hand prints, everything, and we value. Both Hadi and I are passionate about it. So apart from becoming successful financially, the goal is that hopefully we'll be able to influence and establish respect for craft and the craft people and ethical practices.
Love it. I love that response. And so Tessa, any questions?
Yeah, so you talked a little bit about sustainability in the fashion industry. What is PinkTree doing to contribute to that practice?
See, we work with craftspeople. We practice fair trade. Okay, we do not haggle. We try to promote community projects. At the moment, we work with different communities, women as well as craftspeople, and we try to inculcate all these values in our clothes and explain it to our customers that you're not just getting a garment, you're getting something passionately made, which is to be cherished and respected. And it's timely as well as timeless. It's contemporary, yet we draw inspiration from our rich past textile and craft past and fashion past and bring it to today, which will continue to be relevant forever, and we give them quality. So these are the things. And let's see. Maheen, can I just explain, go further? Because we tried to work with Western fashion brands and everything. They are, for instance, UNHCR people came and invited, and they were looking. UNHCR has launched its own brand, 51, I think it's called 51, something 51, and where they're working with refugees. But they don't understand local cultures. They don't, and they formulate policies in Paris, in Geneva, in New York, in their offices, and they come here and they just slap it on us without understanding us. That I find very offensive, and that's deliberate. To me, it's deliberate to keep us out of, because I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting something from the market. I don't know how it's being produced. And I'm not growing cotton, or I'm not producing silk. I have to source it from the market.
Right.
I can't give you the certificate of how it's produced and if it's fair trade or not. I can do it in my own environment. But I can't guarantee about the thread I'm using to stitch clothes or the zippers, and they want certificates for everything. And they've made it so difficult. Although then we have factories in Vietnam and Bangladesh, right? No rules are followed. So I find it very uh, hypocritical. You understand? And I find it that you just can't. First, you understand our culture, our market dynamics, and then demand it. And it is always, it's a process, not an event. You come and you demand these things. And no, if I don't have one of them, you say, no, you're disqualified. No,
That's a
you
really good
need
point
me
that
to
you
work.
got, Mohsin. And I feel like we can need to do a show just separately for that. That's really insightful, to know ethical versus unethical practices within the business and how you tend to get a shorthand of the stick. And so we are wrapping up here. But one thing I definitely wanted to mention is that what I absolutely love about your collection is the one that you just did in Impress Market. It was bold and it was set to be controversial. I think it was super high fashion. You put the dichotomy out there that yes, women are looked at pieces of meat and subjectified. You had a model strutting right in front of a piece of meat, and you saw the butcher looking at her like a piece of meat. I thought it was such a bold
And
statement, and I'm sorry
I
that.
like to juxtapose opposites. You
Yeah,
know, I like to do it. And this is not new. This is something I've done 30 years ago. We used to do shoots like that. And at that time, fashion was really rising and
yeah,
exciting times, everything. So I'm just regurgitating what I've done 30 years ago, 25 years ago. The Empress Market is not a new place for us, and shoots there. We done it and we did it again, and I loved it. And Jaffer, the photographer and the model, didn't want to go into the beach side, and I said, I will beat you up if you didn't give me that shot, because I direct my shots and I'm quite a dictator. And on my sets, on my locations, I announce there's only one bitch, one queen, one slave driver, and that's me.
yeah.
So all of you just shut up and do what I want you to.
Well,
So I
Mohsen,
just
thank you so much for your time. I just wanted to end by saying that we are really excited to also have Mohsin Sayeed and PinkTree's first piece in our Maheen The Globe in the coming week. And we can't
thank
wait
you.
for the American audience and readers to see your collection and do future collaborations. Thank you so much. It's been an honor having you on.
Thank you so much. I'm missing Sheena and Adya, but situation.
Yeah,
So they couldn't be here. Thank
absolutely.
you so
Next time we'll have them on. Take care,
much.
stay
Yes.
safe, and we'll be.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
See
Bye.
ya.
Bye, Austin. Bye, Tessa.
Bye.